All right, so this is our new show with me and Prodigal. We're doing forced treason, and the truth is treason in an empire of lies. Also, we'll be talking about this might be a part one and part two, maybe even more because it's a lot that we're going to be getting into about World War III spiritual warfare, the psyops that are happening on us constantly on a daily basis through media, politics, education, anything you could think of. Even the air we breathe, the chemtrails, the food we're eating, the GMOs. Um, all of it is we're being attacked, keeping us spiritually confined, so to say. And the reason why we picked forced treason is because the meaning of treason, as you can see right here, is the crime of betraying one's country, especially by attempting to kill the sovereign or overthrow the government. Well, it's kind of like we're being forced to have to do that with everything that's happening to us. We can't just sit idly by anymore and allow these things to continue to happen to our family, our friends, our loved ones, our coworkers, and our neighbors. This needs to stop. And so we're going to do everything we can to present all the evidence to show this. So I want to thank Prodigal for coming in, and he's going to, take it from here.
All right, then now, thank you, Rose, right there. We all right now kind of know. Okay. We all kind of know we're kind of at that point to where the world is really kind of changing into really kind of a depravity of what we started out from being. We're no longer, the being all good, handshake and whatnot, being trustworthy. Now everybody's kind of getting to be it's all about me, it's all about myself, and really it's kind of going spiraling out of control and whatnot, and it has been doing this way. And this spiritual warfare that Rose was talking about, the spiritual warfare, really, World War III is a spiritual war, but this has been a continuation since the beginning of time. There's really never been any break. It's always been spiritual warfare from the beginning until the last days are here. So I think that it's only fair that we discuss kind of where this war started, the spiritual warfare. And as we all know, that Satan is the enemy to every one of us, regardless if you think that, oh wow, yeah, I'm a Satanist and whatnot. I'm an atheist. I don't believe in this stuff. He is. There's only two camps you can be in. There's only two camps. There's God's camp, which is the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, or there's Satan's camp, which we're going to get into exactly how this started, how this progressed, and where we're all today. Like Rose said, this is probably going to be uh, a multiple. This right here is going to be a multiple series because it's going to be so long. There's so much information to where we're at today. How did we get to where we're at today, where the United States is in debt right now, where the media has kind of hijacked you into thinking and loving your servitude of where you're at, your slavery, which is where you're at right now. Now, I know that a lot of people will come out here. It's not knowledge, or it's not ignorance that's the enemy of knowledge. It's the illusion of knowledge that's the enemy of knowledge. This is from Stephen Hawking's, which we'll get more into. I know that we're going to go ahead. We're going to be talking about the media, the information flow, the information war that we have going on, that you see right now with YouTube going on with like Fisher of Men. They're out here trying to censorship a lot of stuff right now. We're going to get into atheism later on for all you atheists out there. Yes, we're going to get in there how atheists came about, how it was already presented, and how they were pushing this agenda hundreds of years before they started it. We're going to get into Islam. I'll talk a little bit about Islam and how Islam made it its start. The Catholic Church. We're going to get into We're going to go ahead and get into the Federal Reserve banking, your debt, where it's coming to, where it comes from, where it's going, basically all the way up until World War III. I know Rose has got some stuff. Definitely, she's going to bring her A game. You can always count on Rose to bring her A game. And I like to present my facts as well. But we have to start with the enemy, where the enemy came from, and how the enemy came into existence, and who the war really is. There's only a king of Tyre and a prince of Tyre. You can go and find this in Ezekiel and Isaiah. They talk about the king of Tyre, and we'll go ahead and get into this right now. The king of Tyre is always Satan. That's the one that's in charge, regardless. The king of Tyre is always Lucifer, and the prince of Tyre is always going to be a human puppet. You don't make war against the prince of Tyre. You always make war against the king of Tyre. The prince of Tyre is basically just a puppet. So we'll go ahead and get into Ezekiel 28 verses 12 through 14. Son of man, take up lament concerning the king of Tyre and say to him, this is what the sovereign Lord says. You were real. You were the seal of perfection, full of wisdom and perfect beauty. You were in Eden, the garden of God. Every precious stone adorned you. Carnel, wait a minute, hang on real quick. Let me go ahead and get down here. The carnel, the crystal, the emerald, the topaz, the onyx, and the jasper. The lapis lazuli, the turquoise, and the beryl. Your settings and mountings were made of gold. On the day you were created, they were prepared. You were anointed as a guardian cherub, for so I adorn you. You were on the holy mount of God. You walked among the fiery stones. So, as we all know, that Lucifer was set up. He was set up to be perfect. Um, it wasn't until iniquity found his way into Lucifer. Whenever Lucifer fell. Now, whenever Lucifer fell from heaven, he manipulated one third of God's angels, and they ended up falling with Lucifer. You were anointed as a guardian cherub, for so I adorn you. You were. This is Ezekiel 28:14 through 16. You were anointed as a guardian cherub, for so I adorn you. You were on the holy mount of God. You walked among the fiery stones. You were blameless in your ways from the day you were created, till wickedness was found in you. Through your widespread trade, which trade in the sense of the Hebrew Latin word actually means basically flattering, maybe to a degree. It's kind of like lobbying, campaigning. Trade for the Hebrew text, that's what it meant. It basically, he was blaspheming God. You were filled with violence, and you sinned. So I drove you in disgrace from the mount of God, and I explained you, guardian cherub, from among the fiery stones. So that's basically how he, how the devil got his one third of God's army of angels to follow him. Was basically he used flattery, saying that they don't need to be here. They don't need to give God worship. You can go ahead and have a higher position in my kingdom, and you can go ahead and become like God. And we'll see later on that he uses that again against man. This lie has to have a lot of power in it for this lie to have worked. Why does Satan have to change his tactics when his tactics work so well? It worked well before. It worked well again after the fall of man. So Satan tends to use a lot of flattery to lure people in to what he wants to do. And we see this right here in Ezekiel, that it explains about the king of Tyre. The king of Tyre is Satan. Now, why does Satan have such a problem with man? Well, first off, um, he can't make war with God. Satan cannot make war with God, but he can make war with the image of God. So, thus, man is made in the image of God. Satan can make war with the image of God. Number two, man was set up to take Satan's dominion in heaven. So, of course, man is a rival now, contending for his dominion in heaven. He sees that man as a rival. So of course, Satan, who never was, if you go into Ephesians, you'll see that Satan. A lot of people think that Satan is in hell. That's not the case. Satan is the ruler here, and I'll go ahead and see if yeah, Ephesians 2:2 says, "In which you used to live when you followed the ways of this world and of the ruler of the kingdom of the air, the spirit who is now at work in those who are disobedient." That's Ephesians 2:2. So we know that Satan is in control of the air. That means that he's in control of this world right now. And everything that the air, basically the continuous surface of the earth is the air that you breathe. He's in charge of the air. He never went to hell. A lot of people think that Satan is in hell, but he never was in hell. Um, he never went there. He's always been in this world. He's always been here setting up the events to go ahead and set up his one world system. So, what do you have anything to add on this, Rose? I'll go ahead and pass it on to you.
Well, yeah, and also in the Bible it talks about the Nephilim mating with women, and then you have the fallen. They, and if you want to start back then, okay, because now we have the transhumanism where they're trying to take God's likeliness, but remove the soul and put in a demon, and so you have the synthetic beings and so forth now. But back in the day, they were trying to corrupt God's creations by mating with them, mating with the women, and they're bearing children. It's always been a war against us and them, always from the beginning, and it still is to this very day. Because he believes he is God. He wants to be God, and on this earth, he's running this shit. This is his show, and we're just pawns in this until we wake up and realize what's going on. Not even a lot of people are aware of it.
Yeah, because sorry, Rose. I wanted to go ahead and say this right here. The fallen angels from heaven, the 1/3 that Lucifer corrupted to get to fall. Let's make no fucking mistake that they really want to be worshipped. He offered them to be a position to be like God. So, undoubtedly, worship is the one activity that belongs directly to God. And that's what they want. Whenever you worship something, that's what you give power over you. You know what I'm saying? It's you're giving that power over you. And so with Satan and the fall of his demons, they want to be worshipped. That's what they want. They want to be your God. So when you let them into your life through many of
means. A different means. You can use porno. You have lust. You can use the money system, greed, the 7 deadly sins, of course, and then the nowadays a lot of people are overweight, gluttony. People don't respect marriages and stuff like that.
Adultery.
Adultery. So all this is playing out now. I mean, we're all living in these sins. That's why you have to be aware of what you do and who you look up to and so forth. Like the celebrities and everything. You go, oh, I love Britney Spears. Oh, I love Justin Bieber. And you have posters on your walls, or you have them on your for your wallpaper on your phone or on your computer. You're worshiping these people. They're demons. They're not our bloodline. These people are all related to each other. These are the bloodlines. They're not who we are. They're not us.
It's false. they idolize these people,
Yeah.
which when it like American Idol,
Yep.
God forbid people to have idols and to worship these.
Mhm.
And now it's like people jump in tenfold.
Mhm.
I mean, to understand that whenever people think that we're so advanced and we've come over there and we're so much more advanced in the Bible, no, you're not. It's
Mm-mm.
not. This is actually the same stuff that we're doing today actually happened before the Bible.
It's been
It's
happening.
actually
It
right.
just keeps on repeating itself, different generations. That's all. It's just a new. It's the same players, just new. Um, well, I mean, the same game, just new players. That's what I mean. Even the X Factor, XXX, you have them, the X's in front of them. They can give 3 X's on the person. The X in numerology is 6, 6, 6, 6. I mean, it's everywhere.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think that a lot of that stuff, like whenever they do this right here, or when they do that right there,
Mhm.
as much as people put into it that says it's satanic, I think that a lot of it is like spell casting to
Mhm.
keep people basically asleep or whatnot, where you're not seeing this. To maybe take that right there, and you're focusing on this whenever you should be focusing on something else, is kind of a
But
distraction
it is
tactic.
very powerful, though. It is when you
That
do
works.
that, you have to be careful because when you do that, it is powerful. It does work.
Satan Yeah, Satan offered godhood to the angels. That's how he got the angels to fall. He offered 1/3 of the angels, that he promising them that he would give them a higher position of being like a god in his kingdom, and then he does the same thing right here. I'll go ahead and read it. Now, whenever man was coming up, God made man in his own image, right? Hang on real quick. God made man in his own image. And basically, whenever man was here, we'll go ahead and look into it. The fall of man. This is Genesis 3, 1 through 6. Now the serpent was more crafty than any other wild animal the Lord God had made. He said to woman, did God really say you must not eat from any tree in the garden? The woman said to the serpent, we may eat from the trees in the garden, but God did say you must not eat from the tree that is in the middle of the garden, and you must not touch it, or you will surely die. Ye will not certainly die, the serpent said to the woman, for God knows that when you eat from it, your eyes will be open, and you will be like God, knowing good and evil. This is how sin entered the world. When the woman saw the fruit of the tree was good for food and pleasing to the eye, and also desirable for gaining wisdom, she took some of it and ate. She also gave some to her husband who was with her, and he ate of it. So that lie is so powerful that Satan is, put out there, that it still works. Why would he change? Why would he change? You see right here what Rose is showing you.
Mhm.
It's now you really want to see something
They're all
later
part of
on.
it.
Right. Later on, you'll see the hidden hand, and that's something that you could look
Oh
up
yeah.
too.
Oh yeah. I've
Because
looked
the
that
hidden
up.
hand,
Mhm.
right? The
Yep.
hidden hand is one that we're going to get into a lot of this stuff, but the
That's
deal.
that's the shakers. That's the one that are doing the things in the background that are controlling these people.
See, the it says in the Bible that the devil had timbrels and
This
pipes,
is.
and this is very very interesting because you see a lot of these people here are singers and whatnot. Satan was in charge of orchestrating the worship in heaven, is what a lot of people believe. And he still uses this influence today in the music industry to basically influence people. He still uses his power, the powers that were given to him among the Lord on orchestrating the worship in heaven. He still uses this to this day, which we're going to get into later on too as well. Um, yeah, this is where society is right now. And This this right here. Now you want to know where the devil horns and this all stuff, where it really started to take effect, and how it was introduced into Earth. Now,
They do this a certain way though. Just real quick, it's these fingers down and the thumb over these fingers. It's not "I love you" with the thumbs extended. It's purposely fixed like this, and that's the way they do it. Or like the yeah. Mm-hmm.
oh, go ahead.
No,
Go
go
ahead.
ahead. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, so Satan just wants equality with God. That's basically what I was gonna say.
Mm-hmm. See, thumb. They're all evil. They're all involved in this stuff, man. And these are the people look up to. Go ahead though. I'll just show this while you're talking.
Um, I'll go ahead and get into some of the other notes. Of course, basically, if you go back, you look into Genesis. I forget which one it is. I'll probably go look it up later on. But where a lot of this stuff came from actually came from Babylon. Now, Nimrod was basically the king of Babylon. Now, basically, it had mentioned him as a mighty man, the hunter of souls, whatnot. He was through the bloodline of Ham, and Nimrod had went over there, and basically he was associated with the sun. What a lot of people don't understand about Nimrod is that Nimrod used to subdue his enemies with fire, which fire at that time was the earthly representation, believed to by the people at that time, the earthly representation of the sun. So he was already labeled, he had already been affiliated with the sun whenever he started to subdue a lot of these nations and whatnot. So he had went back to the Tigris Euphrates Valley, which is where the Garden of Eden, the Tree of Life, and all this stuff. That's where it originated from. That's whenever sin entered the world. That's also where Cain was kicked out for the first murderer of the world. Um, Basically, what he wanted to do was he wanted to come back and to the scene of the crime and establish a new Garden of Eden. This is where you get the Tower of Babel and whatnot. And we can go back into the verses where it says, "Come, let us build us a city," so we won't be scattered across the face of the earth. What Nimrod was trying to do was he was trying to build this great city and basically bring in everybody into one world type government. This is not new. This is not new. The new world order that this isn't new. This was done back in the days of Babylon. What what had happened later on would change the events of human history, because while he was on his conquest on a lot of these lands, he ran into this a lot of people believe she was a brothel keeper, that she worked basically as a consort of sorts, in Semiramis. Now Semiramis was already well versed. She was already well versed into like sexual depravity. She was a very unsavory person as it was before Nimrod had came across her. Now he had taken her as his wife, which the name Samiarat was her original name, but Semiramis means gift from the sea, because you can't have a prostitute as a queen. It wouldn't have made it doesn't make a lot of sense. It's kind of like you go back to these, you can't make a hoe a housewife. That's kind of that's kind of been but we see that there have been prostitutes have actually held positions of great power in the past. Uh, Semiramis had taken the original religion, because see, even back in those times, even back in the days of that era, even during the Old Testament, there was still basically the whole meaning behind Jesus' coming. There was still already it was still prophesied for Jesus to come. Basically the snake will you know, there'll be enmity between the woman and the snake, and basically she'll give birth to eventually somebody will he'll bruise their heel, but he'll smash his head. That was the first revelations, and a lot of people knew that these revelations were told in the stars. Um, if you want to go ahead and uh,
Mhm.
whenever you want to,
Yeah, I'm
Rose, if
ready.
you want to play
Yeah,
some of the video clips that we have up there.
sure. So we're gonna show number 8.
Yeah, yeah, I think it's 8 through 11 or something, or 9 through 10 or something.
Yeah, part 8 first.
Yeah, I may have to go back. I thought, is that part 8?
Yeah.
The mysteries, yeah, yeah, yeah. That's
Okay.
it.
And let me know if you want to stop in between and say anything.
Okay.
Hit me up on the side messages. Okay.
All right. Yeah.
Or in the chat room. I don't know. I won't be able to see it. Okay, go ahead.
As we've already noted, the religion created in Babylon by Nimrod and Semiramis is known as the Mystery Religion, or simply the Mysteries. At its core, it was an inverted retelling of the fall of man in Genesis. In the biblical account of the incident, the serpent caused Adam and Eve to sin against God by suggesting they eat the fruit from the tree of knowledge. Because they acted in disobedience to God, who had specifically told them not to eat from that tree, sin entered into the human race, and all the misery, disease, and tragedy that makes up human history stems from that moment. In the Babylonian inversion of this event, however, the serpent is portrayed as the real good God. He was worshipped for opening the eyes of men and for infusing the woman with his passion and lust. He was seen as a liberator and an enlightener. To them, he illuminated the minds of mankind by revealing to them the secret knowledge that God had tried to keep from them. Look again at the all-seeing eye. Notice that it has rays of light emanating from it. This represents the illuminating secret knowledge that he claims to offer, the secret serpent knowledge that could provide mankind with their own salvation and which would see them become gods. That is why the religion is called the Mysteries, because it claims to harbour the secret knowledge that was offered to Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden. In the Mysteries, the true God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Yahweh, was portrayed as a wrathful deity of hate who was guilty of opposing freedom of choice. Because Nimrod and Semiramis set themselves up as the sun and moon gods, the religion was also based on a corruption of primeval astronomy. It was believed by Noah's righteous ancestors that the stars told the story of Satan's rebellion against God in heaven, his fall, subversion of mankind, the promise of a Messiah who would suffer and die to lift the curse of sin, and then be installed as Lord of creation and conqueror of Satan. These stories were widely known amongst the people of the time. Semiramis, however, again inverted the story, and so in the mystery version, the stars of the sky told a different story. In the Babylonian version, Satan was depicted as the rightful lord of the universe, whose throne had only temporarily been usurped by God. One day an Antichrist, a seed of the serpent, would be born of a divine mother, would become God himself, replace God, and return rulership of the world to the serpent. Semiramis claimed that this was the real, hidden truth concealed within the stories. This corrupt and satanic version is the origin of astrology, which still exists virtually unchanged today. The Babylonians didn't just believe the stars told the story of the universe. They believed you could divine the future of individuals through them as well. If the stars told the story of things that had passed, they could also tell the stories of things to come. They would therefore divide the sky into sections and give meanings to each section on the basis of the stars that are found there. According to the theory, a person's destiny is said to be determined by whatever section or sign he is born under. This is the origin of horoscopes. In times to come, astrology would pass to the empire of ancient Egypt, which is the place we most associate with pyramids today. The sacred mountain pyramids were constructed with certain mathematical relationships to the stars. The Sphinx also has astrological significance. It has the head of a woman, symbolizing Virgo, the Virgin, and the body of a lion, symbolizing Leo. Virgo is the first sign of the zodiac, and Leo is the last. So the Sphinx, which literally means joining in Greek, is the meeting point of the zodiac, indicating that the Egyptian priests believed Egypt was the center of the universe. By the time Moses led the Jews out of Egypt in Exodus, astrology had also infected the population in Canaan, which was the land that they were headed towards. Hence, some of the strictest warnings in the Bible against astrology date from this period, such as in Leviticus 19:31 and Deuteronomy 18. The biblical denunciations of astrology identify the practice with demonism or Satanism, in the sense that Satan and his hosts were actually being worshipped in the guise of the signs, planets, and stars. And as mentioned previously, the leading lights of the sky, sun and moon, were worshipped in the form of Nimrod and Semiramis. Very significantly, a third leading light was identified in the sky that was 23 times more luminous than the sun, and therefore was considered to be the most important star in the sky. This star is known as the dog star, Sirius, or the morning star, because it's still visible even in the morning light.
And that's where they get why it's so serious.
Remember in Isaiah 14:12, Lucifer is referred to as that name. When allied with the sun and moon, the morning star completes an unholy trinity of lights personified in Satan, Nimrod, and Semiramis. One of the key elements of the mysteries that I also want to emphasize is the hierarchical structure that they contained. The secret illuminating knowledge from the serpent was not to be freely distributed to the unworthy. You would have to become initiated into the religion and then work your way through ascending degrees of revelation and knowledge. This ascension through the levels was considered to be a journey from the darkness of ignorance to the light of knowledge, a process of enlightenment. Progression was propagated by a hierarchy of priests and priestesses, and were marked by fearful rites of passage and oaths of secrecy, which, if broken, would lead to death. Similar oaths of secrecy are sworn today by other hierarchical institutions, like the Freemasons and Jesuits, but more about them later. The further along in the process you were, the more enlightened you were considered. The more enlightened you were, the more you could look down your nose at the unenlightened. The hierarchical structure of the mysteries was designed to create inequality amongst men based on what they knew. It can itself be best visualized in the form of a pyramid or a ziggurat again, wide at the base and increasingly narrow as you rise through the levels towards the peak. The idea is that there's an average mass of people at the bottom of the pyramid who are ignorant, blind fools, with an increasingly small number of enlightened people towards the top. The very top, the capstone as it were, is Lucifer himself, the giver of light. If you've read or seen Harry Potter, you'll be vaguely familiar with this concept. In those stories, the name Muggle is given to the majority of people in the world who go about their lives utterly oblivious to the wizarding world that is actually all around them, or at least very close at hand. We are encouraged to think of Muggles as idiots, and indeed the Oxford English Dictionary has even picked up on the word and defines it as an individual who is clumsy or unable to acquire a new skill. Those who were born into a Muggle family but have been awakened to wizardry are called mudbloods, i.e. half-bloods, and this places you on a higher position than a Muggle, but a lower position to those who have centuries of pure wizardry in their ancestry. J.K. Rowling here, as in many aspects of her books, is actually giving insights into real occultism. The word occult means hidden or concealed, and it is the modern name by which the ideas of the mysteries have come to be known today. When you have people involved in the occult, the information, knowledge and power that they are trying to tap into is the exact same as that serpent knowledge which originated in Babylon. The idea of occultism retains the concept that there are a powerful, enlightened or illuminated few at the top who see things as they really are, and the rest are kept in the dark, mere ignorant fools. The enlightened few consider the average mass of people to be almost subhuman, like cattle, who deserve to be led like cattle and treated like cattle. This knowledge hierarchy is replicated in almost all occult societies today, like Freemasonry for example, and it fulfills an important function of allowing Satan to pervert by small degrees. Those at the lower levels of Freemasonry have absolutely no idea of what they are actually involved in. It is only as they slowly rise through the degrees that they have the true information revealed to them. By perverting in small stages and in the passing of time, people lose sight of just how far they're straying and can be led to accept things that they would otherwise have flatly rejected if they had been given the full revelation from the start. Just a little change here, a little change there, it's not so much. And yet with enough small changes and with enough time, a person or society can be completely transformed without even realizing it. This is one of the reasons why we must have a zero-tolerance policy with sin. The concessions we make today will form a link in a chain of concessions in future if we're not careful. This kind of system that needs to keep knowledge concealed from the masses, by its very nature, necessitates the use of symbolism, gestures, monuments, secret words and signs, to ensure that those in the dark are kept in the dark. That's why the occult makes heavy use of these devices. They use symbols that are packed with meaning for the initiated, but which mean absolutely nothing to the average man. By using symbols, information can be communicated by being hidden in plain sight. That is, they are in the open air for all to see, but they are not recognized or interpreted by the average person. It is also for this reason that the occult always hides behind outward facades of neutrality, goodness, or even holiness. I mentioned this earlier, but don't expect evil to have an obvious outward appearance of evil. That's not how Satan wins people to himself. More often than not, he disguises himself as an angel of light to seduce, which is why discernment becomes one of our most important tools in these last days. It is also for the same reason that dual meanings are prevalent in the occult world. Wherever there is a dark infernal truth to be communicated, there is almost always a false but light and seemingly good cover story. The public are given the false cover story in order to keep the dark truth concealed. The initiated and the enlightened only are aware of the true meanings. By using the system of double-speak and deception, occultists can speak a sentence containing words which mean something to fellow occultists, but which mean something very different to the average person. Bernie Taupin, Elton John's lyricist, is reported to have once said that he never wrote a single song that wasn't written in this double-speak. The average listener hears Elton John's lyrics and either doesn't discern a message at all or thinks they discern a light and wholesome one, while in reality they are telling quite a different message to the initiated. Closely related to this concept is the idea that light and darkness emanate from the same source. Nimrod and Semiramis were the sun and the moon, the leading lights of the day and night, but they were two separate manifestations of the same source, Satan. So the idea is that there's one force which has a light masculine side and a dark feminine side. If you've seen Star Wars, you'll be familiar with this concept. The force is considered neutral but can be used for good or evil. Or what about the Wizard of Oz, where it's explained that there can be good witches or bad witches? This is key to occultism. The power is neutral, it's how you used it that counts. And speaking of songs with double meanings, Bernie Taupin also, of course, wrote the lyrics to a Wizard of Oz related song, Goodbye Yellow Brick Road. The Wizard of Oz has an occult message that we'll get to later. But these are themes that have infiltrated our culture, and these are some of the key telltale signs of satanic mystery religion. Look out for them as we continue our journey. A final feature of the mysteries was its absolute obsession with sex, and this is again something that carries on into modern occultism. Because of Semiramis' history as a brothel keeper, we should be unsurprised to find sexual perversion playing a huge role in her religion, and that indeed is what we do find. Worship of both male and female regenerative parts, but particularly the male phallus, played a key role. There was ritualistic sensual dancing, sacred prostitution and sodomy with male and female prostitutes. Sex was seen as an act of worship and was encouraged in all its most perverted forms. The religion was also notable for its vicious blood rituals, where animals and children were brutally sacrificed. Because sex was involved in the worship, unwanted babies often resulted, and they were sacrificed on the altar of this depraved system. The religion also involved the use of magic, conjuring, channeling, and sorcery. In fact, the worship in the religion involved the most vile and evil forms of immorality imaginable.
So you see, we still have this religion pretty much today. It's still set and it's prevalent in society. Only we don't call it sodomy anymore. We call it homosexuality. We don't call it child sacrificing anymore. We call it abortion. But it still leads to the same stuff.
Owned by
Oh,
Nimrod and
sorry. Hold on one
Semiramis
second.
is known as the mystery religion,
Sorry.
or simply the mysteries.
1 second.
At its core, it was an inverted retelling.
My bad. Okay.
So what do you think, Rose? I'll go ahead and see what you think about that.
Well, yeah, that's came up in my studies, all of that, actually. There's an excellent video. I had to learn all that the hard way through reading and finding books and reading on the religions and the mystery religions and the secret societies and Lucifer and all the symbolisms. I had to learn all that without having a video. So I think it's really awesome that you found a video that people get all that in one.
Right, and I just didn't want to do the whole. I didn't want to. You knew I was researching a lot of this stuff, and I really didn't want to have to go over here and explain it. But he put it so well and so eloquently that it's still prevalent today. The same stuff that they were doing back then is still here to this day. We just put a new moniker, a new name to help you justify it to yourself. That's why. It's funny. What do you think about it, Rose?
Oh, I'm sorry. I lost my train of thought. Go ahead. Can you ask me that again?
Yeah, what do you think about today's society and looking back at the mystery religions that they had set up? Everybody thinks that we're so much more advanced than they were back then. But, yeah, definitely. What do you think about...
Well, the sacrifices are still happening. The children there's thousands and thousands of children missing that are used for sacrifices.
Abortion.
Yeah, they take the baby and they'll use it as a sacrifice. Not all of them, of course, but a lot of these companies, they are part of the secret societies, and that's what they use these babies for. They provide it, willingly provide it. And that's true. You just look into that. Everything we're saying is true. Please look into it. Don't just take our word for it, but please look into this. Also, you have the structure where the elite, so-called elite, the 1%, and we're the 99.9%, and we're the cows, we're the cattle, and we're subhuman to them. They're disgusted by us. That's why they need to take away our guns so they can take full control over us. Right now they can't because we have guns. As long as we have our guns, they can't do really much shit, except for the stupid stuff they do, like with the programming on TV. They show you the occult stuff, like the guy was going over about Wizard of Oz, and the meaning in music, the sexual lust that's in, and the perversions that we're seeing in movies like Twilight, where she's in love with a vampire that's dead. So that's what necrophiliac. And then she's also this guy that part animal is in love with her. That's bestiality. And then they're pushing this on our children, this occult stuff. It's very prevalent in our right now in where we live. It's all around us. So that's why you have to be really careful what you let your kids watch and what you subject yourself to, and what you're listening to. They even use the hertz, the 420 hertz and stuff like that, in music. So that's why when you get a song pop in your head and you go, I can't get this fucking song out my head. I hate this song. Why I keep singing it? Why I keep thinking of it? It's because it's the hertz. It's programmed. They download it into your mind. So, it's all happening to this very day, right now. Everything that's happening then is happening now, just in a different way.
Yeah, it's always the same old shit. I mean, it's funny they call this the New Age religion and whatnot, but the New Age religion has been around for centuries, and it never really died whatsoever. It never went away. It says this in Revelation. It calls it Mystery Babylon. Why are they still talking about Babylon? Babylon still exists. The physical form of Babylon is not there anymore. But still, there is still some remnants of Babylon that had never went away. where whenever they fell to the Persians, and later on the Romans came along, they've always kept this system somehow, some way, and even until the Roman times, which is where now, why do you get the mystery religion? Who's the figurehead of the mystery religions today? It's the Pope, which we'll get into Catholicism later on. But he's in charge of the mystery religions. It never did go away, even in Rome. Um, it's still here. Like I said, we still do the same practices. We still do the same shit that they did back then. It's funny how people will point at Christians and say, oh, well, that's what's wrong with society. That's what started every war. When Christians have never been in full control, ever, at any given time. The Catholic Church just put new labels onto it. They hijacked Christianity, put these names because the Romans were not Christians. They were pagans. They were Babylonians. They still practiced this mystery religion, but they had since Christianity was growing in Rome, and they had to go over there, and they were at threat by the unity. The unity of Rome was a threat, so they had to change. They said, well, you could still worship your pagan, but we're going to go ahead and put Christian ideas behind it, put Christian facade on it, so that you could still worship it. But it was still it was still the paganism. They just paganized Christianity. If we can go ahead and do you want to go ahead and play the next video, Rose?
Yeah, sure, man. These are good videos. Excellent. I wish I would have found this 10 years ago. All right. Let's see. So we're going to go to number 9, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Got it right here. All right. Know Your Enemy, Part 9, The Birth of Tammuz and Polyism. All right. So everything was working fine. The video and the sound was okay.
Yeah, it worked out pretty good.
Okay, excellent. All right, here we go. All right, and these videos are short, people, so it's not like, this one's only 7 minutes. The other one was 11. So, and they're really interesting. It's worth sitting back and watching this. Okay, here we go.
Now, in the end, we know that Nimrod met a violent and untimely death, but there are contrasting stories as to why and how it happened. Some have suggested it was at the hands of Shem's descendants, who had become outraged at what Nimrod was attempting to do in Babylon. Others suggest it was an act of rebellion by a band of his subjects. The most intriguing and most shocking version of events, however, is that he was killed by Semiramis, his wife. Nimrod was by all accounts a brilliant tactician, but it seems he made a fatal flaw in allowing Semiramis to retain control over the religion, because it was the religion that was the true source of power behind his rule. Through it, she won the hearts and minds of the people, and she used it to her advantage when a schism developed between herself and Nimrod. She had become pregnant with an illegitimate son. When Nimrod heard about this, he threatened to dethrone her and expose her true origins as a prostitute, but Semiramis retaliated by devising a plot to overthrow him and retain power for herself. The story goes that she had the priests kill him on her behalf at an annual New Year feast. The Babylonian people were then given a cover story to explain his death, and when she eventually gave birth to her illegitimate son, she further claimed to the people that he was an immaculately conceived reincarnation of Nimrod. She called him Tammuz, and presented him as the seed of the woman mentioned back in Genesis 3, the Messiah. We know that this verse really refers to Jesus Christ, and so Tammuz was the first Christ imposture, the first Antichrist. Semiramis' rule in the aftermath of this event appeared to be rather shaky, and because of the increased threat to her safety, she took to building walls, towers, and gates around the city of Babylon to defend herself. She was actually the first to build fortifications of this type, and therefore became so associated with this concept that in later times she was often depicted with a crown of turrets. To secure her position, she increasingly emphasized her position as the Mother of God and the Queen of Heaven. In other words, she continued to use religious motivation to keep power. As Tammuz grew up and reached maturity, he began demanding to be installed as the new king. Not only did Semiramis refuse this, but seeing that he was becoming a threat to her rule, concocted a plan to have him disposed of in the same manner she disposed of Nimrod. Tammuz, however, caught wind of her scheme and ran her through with a sword before she had the chance to implement it. He then purged the priesthood of all who wouldn't swear allegiance to him to consolidate his position within the religion. This ended Semiramis' 102-year rule. It did not, however, end her relevance. After death, Nimrod continued to be worshipped as the sun god. After Semiramis' death, she continued to be worshipped as the moon goddess, and they continued to be represented by the leading lights of the sky. Semiramis, also known as the Great Mother, Divine Mother, Virgin Mother, etc., would often be depicted standing on a crescent moon with stars encircling her head. Both Nimrod and Semiramis were also given new names in their post-life godly form. Nimrod was confirmed by the priests of the religion as a god called Marduk, and Semiramis was confirmed as a goddess called Astarte. These names, however, were never revealed to the masses, but instead their attributes were set forth under pseudonyms of various gods constructed for the public interest. For example, in Christian terms, we can call God Jehovah Jireh, meaning the Lord who provides, or Jehovah Nissi, which means the Lord is my banner, but we know these different names refer to the same God. In Babylon, however, these different names, which represented different parts of Nimrod's and Semiramis' character, morphed into separate entities altogether, and polytheism, multiple god worship, was truly born. Some of Marduk's alter egos, for example, included Enki or Apsu, who was the god of wisdom, incantations, and deep water oceans. Another was Astaluhi, the god of healing and exorcism. Another was Nebo or Nebul, who was believed to have come out of a cave or hole in the ground, and so worship ceremonies were held for Nebo underground. This cave theme became significant in Babylonian beliefs and is a recurring theme. It also curiously echoes Revelation 13, which talks of a beast coming out of the ground. The names Nebul and Bel became the official names of Marduk in later periods, and were popular in these same periods among the ruling classes of Babylon as name elements. In the same way that Muslims are often named Muhammad after their prophet, Babylonians often had names like Nebuchadnezzar and Belshazzar. Finally, and perhaps most importantly, Marduk was known as Baal. This was the primary name by which the other nations, including Israel, were introduced to the worship of Marduk. Baal means Lord or Master, and was from very early times known as the Sun God. Under this name, with many prefixes and suffixes, he was worshipped by the Canaanites, Phoenicians, Syrians, and to some extent by the Egyptians. The name Baal sometimes occurs in connection with a locality. For example, in Peor, he was known as Baal Peor, or in Hermon, Baal Hermon. More frequently, it occurs with compound attributes such as Baal Zebub, which means Lord of the Flies, still today one of the epithets of Satan. Zebub.
I was talking about that with the flies on Obama's face. That's where the name came from. Interesting.
Meaning fly, comes from the root word that signifies restless motion, and so Beelzebub has a double meaning as Lord of restless and unsettled motion. This agrees precisely with the characteristics of Satan as described in Job 1:7. Baal-Zephon, another famous version, means Lord of the Black North or the Northern Void, and Meribal translates as Lord of the Rebellion. All these different names are just different sides of the same dice. They all originate with Marduk, who is Nimrod. Finally, because all pagan gods and goddesses originated with the dysfunctional human family of Nimrod, Semiramis, and Tammuz, and the Babylonian system, this clearly affected the views of what the gods and goddesses were like in ancient times. The gods were given family-type structures. The gods had affairs, they argued, they competed for position. They were as prone to family and relational problems as any human. Like Babylon's first family, they even killed each other. Put simply, they were humanized. The Babylonian religion developed in such a way that men began to envision their gods in conformity with the image of man. The gods of the Babylonians were not only understood to interact with each other and operate their affairs as humans do, but they also behaved like humans or worse. As one modern poet wrote, "The more the gods become like men, the easier it is for men to believe the gods. When both have only human appetites, then rogues may worship rogues."
Wow.
Yeah, it's funny because a lot of people are associating, even before Obama got in the White House,
Hmm.
people were already starting to make the connection between him and Nimrod.
Yeah. Yeah. Let me see. Just real quick, why we just saw that right here. Right here. These flies keep landing on his face.
Hey guys, how you doing? It's KJ here from the scariest movie ever made and rigredreality.com. And I got a video on Obama. Surprise, surprise. I've done a few Obama videos recently. And the only reason why is because there's so much just unusual activity around this guy. And do a little research for yourself. Keep in mind that there are many people out there that believe he could be the Antichrist. We're going to cover a little bit of that stuff here too. No matter what it is, whether he's the Antichrist, the devil in the flesh, maybe he just has the spirit in him. A lot of people believe that this evil spirit, these false prophets, these things can bounce from person to person. Who knows? But there's something about him. Like I said, check out some of my videos, or just go on YouTube and check in general. You'll find plenty of interesting information on Obama. Anyway, all that being said, Face and Tree is a YouTube channel. And she always does some really interesting work. So she put up a video just a little while ago about this. And that's what first brought it to my attention. So it's just refreshing there. So I'm just going to take it a step further than she did. And we're going to look at some of these videos attached to Obama with the fly on his head or on his face. And why is this significant? Well, there's a few things there. But when I first saw the pictures and all that, and I came to Drudge and kind of checked this out a little bit, it immediately made me think of Lord of the Flies. What's up with the flies? What's the meaning? Why are they hovering around him? I don't think it's because he has a special scent that they're attracted to necessarily. Some people might argue that, but I'm a big believer that these can be spiritual manifestations oftentimes, especially with as often as it's happening around Obama. So anyway, check this out. This is from the Telegraph. It says Barack Obama provides landing pad for fly. So we're going to go down, and I'm going to show you some of these videos here. Alright, so here's the first one. Obama kills a fly. So check this out.
Signature characteristic of our sorry, I'm going to start over. I'm going to start at Owl Patrick. Hey, get out of here. That's the most persistent fly I've ever seen. Nice. Now, where were we? That was pretty impressive, wasn't it? I got the sucker. What do you think, Gibbs? That is very good. It's on. It's right there. Right there. You want to film that? There it is.
Weird.
All right, so check this one out. It's another one.
The Wolf family had high-quality insurance, the high-tech that they helped to found. And then insurers saw Thomas's claims and began jacking up premiums for all of Nathan's employees and their families. No other insurer would take Nathan as long as Thomas was on the policy. Get out of here. You've seen me grab one of those before. So
It landed on his mouth, and then he licked his mouth.
as Nathan's family neared
Trying to go home.
the social worker actually
Huh?
Trying to go home.
Yeah, wants to go inside.
suggested that Nathan and his wife get divorced so that she could go on Medicaid. She lost her job during treatment. The coverage she had through her husband's employer has a lifetime limit of $1 million. And so, like Nathan, they worry they'll hit that limit.
All right, so really you need to think about this. This is happening a lot with him. Okay, here's another one from early on in his career. Check this out.
A year ago, a year and a half ago, the subprime lending crisis spill over. And let me try that again. Avoid from getting into this crisis in the first place. I warned.
That's okay. There's a lot of flies in here, and the center is going to do something about these flies.
We're going to do it one more time. There's no doubt that we're underinvesting in education. Now, mostly that's a state issue. All right, let's try it again.
Talking about education.
Here's what we need to do. We need to invest in early childhood education. I'm sorry.
Just a big fan right here. With you.
She said we need to bring in an exterminator.
Yeah, we've gotten the two questions. You were promised two. You were trying to sneak in.
No, I said welcome. I said welcome to Elko, and you said.
So there we go, guys. I mean, just trying to show you that this isn't just an isolated incident with him. This happens quite a bit. I mean, it made the main page of Drudge, which is pretty huge. So there's that, and I'll just show you a few more things too, a few more little connections here. But when I saw this, it reminded me of another video I saw, and I actually made a video about a few years ago, about a year ago. But check this out. This has to do with the Pope, Ratzinger.
It's just sitting on his face.
Some of you may have seen this before, but he's in Prague. He's in the Czech Republic, and he's giving a speech in front of a bunch of Freemasons. So you'll see the Freemasons here in a second, and I just think that just adds more credence to the idea that this very well could be spiritual manifestations we're witnessing around these guys. So, of course, the Pope, I've done some videos on these guys. Of course, other people have done a lot of videos on them as well. Very evil organization. A lot of people have been duped, not just in that religion, but most religions, I believe. People have been duped, and these aren't good people. So check this out. He's got a little spider problem going on here.
Oh yeah, it's a spider, and then oh yeah, this one's crazy. Okay.
Spoken of is a hard promises to us, and what is at heart consists.
Here it goes, right here.
But there's no simple answer to that question.
It's crawling on him.
Surely a clue is found with the architectural choice.
Then it's gonna come over here and go into his collar.
The resting beauty of its churches, castles, squares, and
See?
bridges
Right here.
cannot but draw our minds to God.
These are the Masons.
The
Masons.
Yep.
The epiphanies of perpetual moral virtue.
There it goes right here.
Compassion.
Going down his arm.
I warmly encourage parents and community leaders, respect authorities, to promote the values which integrate the intellectual,
There it comes. It's coming back.
spiritual dimensions for sound education, worthy of the aspirations.
Check out where he goes.
Veritas Vinci. This is the motto, that's the flag of the President of the Czech Republic.
Right into
And
here.
the collar.
It's the end. Truth has come.
It's kind of creepy, right? So.
I thought that was a fly on his face.
Of course, we got Obama.
Yeah.
Flies. Is Obama Beelzebub? Is he the king of the flies? Well, that's what that means. When I first saw this again, I was thinking king of the flies, or Beelzebub. It's another name for him. In many circles, people believe Beelzebub is another name for Satan. So that's another connection right there. Just something to consider. And posing questions. And just to show you that the idea of flies being associated with
I thought that was interesting since you brought that up on on the show that we just saw.
Yeah, definitely. So now we know where the Lord of Flies come from.
Yep. And you can see how this is happening now. How this is relevant to us now. This is our president. And also there's also a maid, a couple of maids, and they don't change maids with presidents. They keep the same maids because they have the secrets. They know everything about what's going on in the White House. So this maid has been there since Reagan. Okay, she said she's never had a problem with flies until Obama came in there, and they had to get an exterminator to come and get rid of the flies. It was horrendous. It was so bad. It was infested. She said it was infested with flies. Okay, I could show you that if you guys want me to, but you could look it up. The maid of the White House says that the White House is infested with flies since Obama's been in there, and she's never seen this with any other president. Okay, so anyways. Interesting shit.
That was pretty. Yeah, that's pretty interesting. You know, a lot of people have been connecting even before he got in the White House. Everybody, you can go back and look at Nimrod, Obama connections and whatnot, and you'll see a ton of videos. And it is a spirit. You know, what was it, John, that said that you know, many antichrists will come. Many antichrists have already came. This is exactly what he was referring to. People were trying to put Obama out there like a messiah. I don't think that he's the Antichrist, or I'm not going to sit there and say it. He's definitely got the Antichrist spirit, but I don't think that he's, I don't think that he is like full blown the one that's going to come over and take off over the world. I agree. I think he's the third beast. He fits more along the lines with the third beast. He's doing his part to push on Revelations right now. And it is kind of weird that this guy has flies all around him, and nobody thinks that this is weird. This is something that our political process right now, and our government is like totally in the crapper right now. And this is just, like I said, it's impressive that you bring this out. You're exposing this right here, because I've heard a little bit about this right here. There was a class out there of some sort, and he was doing a reading, and there was a bunch of bees, a swarm of bees that came out of nowhere, and all the kids got up and started running and whatnot. Definitely, this guy right here, there's something on the spiritual end driving the Obama force, you know what I'm saying? And as I've already explained, that the devil is in charge of this world. He's the one that is running the wheels on this world right now. It's all running on Lucifer. I read it out of the Bible. The Bible has said this, and the Bible is still the most accurate book in the world right now. Now, a lot of people try to sit there and downplay the Bible. They try to kill Genesis. They're trying to take out the importance of the Bible. But the real reason that they do this is because they know that if you have God in you, you have true strength. You have true power. You have power over the devil. And the devil doesn't want you to have that power over him. He wants you to worship him. He wants your worship. Because as I've already said, he wants to be equal with God. And there's no way that the creation can be equal with the creator. And so, you know, Christianity is the only religion that realized that we need a savior, that we're not. It's funny because a lot of people want to put me, I don't hate the sinner, I hate the sin. I don't really, you know, I try not to have any hate in my heart, but it's not the sinner that we don't like. You know, it's not these people that come out here. You know, I don't hate Hannah Montana or what's her name, Miley Cyrus. I don't hate Justin Bieber. It's not the sinner that we hate. It's the sin that we hate, the stuff that they promote.
And also they're born into it. They don't know it any other way. This is what they've known since birth. You know, he's just not a sensation that came off of YouTube. He's a bloodline. I want to point out there's some really good comments in the chat room. Phantom Prophet is saying, in the Keanu Reeves film Constantine, flies and insects are manifestations of evil spirits. So yeah, exactly. And right here, I wonder if that is why at the Bohemian Grove they have the motto, "Weaving spiders come not here," or something like that. No, that's exactly what it says. "Weaving spiders come not here." And they also
I'm
have
glad that you mentioned that. Who said that?
Phantom Prophet.
Now, I want to go ahead and we'll go ahead and get into this a little bit later, but the owl worship is actually Lilith. It's a demon called Lilith. That's what they're worshiping. A lot of people don't know that, but it's basically what they worship is the Lilith spirit, which we'll get into a little bit later on. But I thought it was interesting because I was just listening to about the weaving spiders not come here in the Bohemian Grove and whatnot. Very, very, very good question.
Yeah, and also Baal, the Masons worship that side, that entity too, and that's where the child molestation will come into. The more they worship Baal, so start getting into child molestations, and child rape and child murder and so forth because of that entity. That's what the entity is, sexual perversion.
Right, which all stems from Babylon. That's where all the sexual perversion, this stuff comes from. It all comes from the same place. And it's, like I said, it's funny. People will deny. But that's exactly where it comes from. It comes from Babylon. All this depravity that we have in the world today actually stemmed from the first dysfunctional family. The Nimrod and Semiramis and Tammuz was the first Kardashians of his day. And it's funny how we always worship these dysfunctional families, which ends up bringing makes your family dysfunctional. Because whenever you watch stuff like that, you tend to want to do that. You know what I'm saying?
Yep. You always have, a lot of the kids' movies too. You always have the rebellious teen that hates their mother. I hate you, and it wants to rebel against their parents. Or you have the single parents that they always want to show on TV. It's about destruction of the family because that's strong. Our family unit is strength. So the way to destroy that is to have these single families, where the dad is a cheater and the dad just wants to go have lust, again, going back to Samuelis. And then, all this stuff is playing out all the time. This is all very well conceived. It's a very well oiled machine that they have presented to us, and we have to live in, but if we live in it, at least be aware that this is happening instead of going on your day-to-day without even realize that this is what's going on. This is, you're a puppet. Cut your strings, but that's an excellent video. Wow. You want to move on to the next one?
Yeah, sure, why not? And yeah. I just want to go ahead and add that the government does this right here and tries to destroy the family so you can be dependent on the government. The government wants to be your new God. This all comes from deism. Like I said, when we get into the evolution and the atheism stuff, I'll go ahead and get into that, exactly how they promoted that, what they use, some of the tools that they use to go ahead and promote atheism to where you're taught it in school and whatnot. But yeah, we should definitely go ahead and the next video is going to be...
Really? Okay. I'm looking forward to it. Cool. All right. So it's called Know Your Enemy, Part 10, The Scattering. Here, let me pull that up.
Yeah, The Scattering. Yeah, that's it.
When sinful perversion and wickedness took hold of the world the first time, God sent a flood to wipe the slate clean and start it again. However, our study so far has shown that within just a few generations of the floodwaters receding, wickedness was already re-establishing itself in the world, with Babylon at its epicenter. It seems that as long as people are unified and left to their own devices, the result will always be a swift descent into degradation, the natural state of the unreformed human heart. God had already promised not to reset the world with a flood again, and even if he did, it would only be a few generations before he would need to do it again. C.S. Lewis put this well in Mere Christianity. What Satan put into the heads of our remote ancestors was the idea that they could be like gods, could set up on their own as if they had created themselves, be their own masters, invent some sort of happiness for themselves outside of God, apart from God. And out of that hopeless attempt has come nearly all that we call human history. Money, poverty, ambition, war, prostitution, empires, classes, slavery. The long, terrible story of man trying to find something other than God which will make him happy. The reason why it can never succeed is this. God invented us as a man invents an engine. A car is made to run on gasoline, and it would not run on anything else. Now God designed the human machine to run on himself. He himself is the fuel our spirits were designed to burn, or the food our spirits were designed to feed on. There is no other. That is why it is just no good asking God to make us happy in our own way without bothering about religion. God cannot give us a happiness and a peace apart from himself, because it is not there. There is no such thing. That is the key to history. Terrific energy is expended, civilizations are built up, excellent institutions devised, but each time something goes wrong. Some fatal flaw always brings the selfish and cruel people to the top, and it all slides back into misery and ruin. In fact, the machine conks. It seems to start up all right and runs a few yards, and then it breaks down. They are trying to run it on the wrong juice. That is what Satan has done to us humans. To solve this problem, instead of wiping everything out and starting again every few generations, God had a far more subtle but long-lasting solution. So long-lasting that it is only now, in the 21st century, that mankind is getting close to reversing it. He said, "Come, let's go down and confuse the people with different languages, then they won't be able to understand each other." The key to confounding the building of the Tower of Babel and the satanic agenda that it represented was to confuse their language, thus inhibiting them from working together. It brought confusion and eventually caused them to scatter, leaving their plans unfinished. In that way, the Lord scattered them all over the world. Babel literally translates as confusion, and it is the word through which we get Babel in English. But as the people scattered, they carried with them the remnants of their mystery Babylon religion wherever they went. This religious system of muddled half-truths and inversions of the truth spread across the globe, and it formed the wellspring for all subsequent false religions and endless mythological systems. And this is where the story gets trickier to follow. As the people scattered outwards from Babylon and into the rest of the world, the single, easily identifiable mystery religion became different things in different places at different times. Marduk, or Nimrod, Astarte, or Semiramis and Tammuz had already been given multiple names to represent different parts of their character, and had then developed into distinct personalities as legends and myths cropped up around them. These distinct personalities were then assigned to various aspects of daily living. There was the god of war, the god of the sea, the god of fertility, and the sun god, etc. Indeed, a god or goddess for just about everything. So we already had perhaps hundreds of gods. But because everyone now spoke a different language and they had moved to different regions around the world, these gods and goddesses assumed different names depending on the location. In Greece, Astarte became known as Aphrodite or Athena.
I just want to pause that so people have time to read that, because the name changes depending on where it was from. So you have Isis in Egypt.
Yeah, you have ISIS right there, which is what they use to go over there and invade Syria. Why would you know what I'm saying? I've already made that point, but I wanted to go ahead and point out the ISIS.
And that Diana, Princess Diana, and the murder, that's a whole other issue. And Ishtar, which they also have, is Esther, and that's where Easter comes from. And Madonna changed her name to Esther. So again, that's another one that's not being shown right here, but it's changed to Esther. Yeah.
In Egypt, she became Isis. In Canaan, she became Ishtar. In Ephesus, she became Diana. In Israel, she became Ashtoreth. The Phrygians knew her as Cybele. In Phoenicia, she is known as Europa. In Rome, she was known as Ceres and Venus. As the goddess of Thelema, she is Nuit, Tanuit, or Anuit.
Just so they could see it. Alright, read it.
In India, she became Kali. So the gods multiplied and hundreds became thousands. It's estimated that there are around 5,000 different names altogether for the goddess stemming from Semiramis alone.
Yeah.
As I read those names, some of them will have rang a bell while others will be more obscure. Names like Aphrodite and Venus are still widely known. Others like Demeter and Cybele are now mostly unheard of. Or on the male side, you will have heard of Apollo, Mars, Achilles, or Poseidon, but may perhaps be less familiar with Nebo or Nebul. The names that are still well known tend to be the Greek or Roman forms, mainly because they had such great empires, and as a result their mythologies were most widely spread, written about, and preserved. So well preserved that they are still household names. There are shaving products named after Venus. We had a NASA rocket ship called Apollo. We've had movies like Troy starring Brad Pitt as Achilles, in which some of these muddled half-truth stories and legends of heroes are depicted. The name Europa has even become the name of a whole continent, but they all go back to just 3 people from Babylon: Nimrod, Semiramis, and Tammuz. You can see the common threads if you look for them. You will see recurring titles such as Queen of Heaven, the Great Mother, Mother Goddess, or even Mother Nature. You will see how it is just one woman under different names, and that she has existed in all cultures and civilizations throughout history. You'll also see how all those ancient mythologies contain family relationships and feuds, very often culminating in murder and incest. You'll see the recurring theme of mother and child cults that began with Semiramis and Tammuz. You'll see these threads uniting even major religions of today like Hinduism, Islam, Buddhism, Sikhism, and Catholicism. You'll discover in fact that all false religions sprang from the mystery Babylon religion, and that is why they have these commonalities. Keeping track of all the routes the Babylonian religious system took, however, is impossible and also unnecessary. We don't need to do an in-depth analysis of how the mysteries became Hinduism in India or Buddhism in the Far East, for example. We only need to focus on a few threads, namely how the mystery spread from the Middle East into Europe. The key point at this stage, however, is to understand that all mythological systems and false religion and gods and goddesses can be traced back to just 3 people in Babylon, and behind their mystery religion is Satan himself.
Yep. All traced back to 3 people.
Yeah, the first dysfunctional family in history.
Yeah, I want to say thank you to the Field Project for these videos.
Yeah, it's a very good. You should check it out.
Subscribed. I'm subscribed. Yes. Okay. Wow. All right, you want to touch on that?
Well, I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory right there. A lot of people always want to blame everything. They associate religion with God. And by no means I'm over here trying to defend religion in and of itself. I'm over here trying to, basically defend God. This is exactly where a lot of these multi-religions, this religion goes back further than that religion, blah, 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 blah. But we see that most of the religions that we have today, including Baptist and Christians that we have today, are actually still there on that pagan worship. Christmas is Saturnalia. Easter, like you said, is Ishtar, the worship of fertility. Lent has absolutely nothing to do with the Bible. Christianity was given this, paganism was giving a Christian facade, and that's what it is. But
that's where the dyeing of the eggs come from. Is they used to take the eggs and dye it in blood. I believe it was children's blood, and they'd dye the eggs, and so then it's a fertility, it's so they can have babies and sex and stuff like that. Anyways, and so we celebrate Easter, but it's pagan. It has nothing to do with Jesus Christ rising from the dead. What we're celebrating when we do the dine of the eggs and so forth, that part of it is pagan. Same with Christmas, of course Halloween, and
Yeah, Halloween was All Saints Day or All Souls Day.
Devil's holiday. Biggest one to Satanists. I spoke to a Satanist last night, and she was talking about it. How great it was, and I don't know, whatever. I had to get out of that room, but
yeah. I was sitting there with your Easter thing. Now, if you go over there and you ask somebody in your Baptist church why we have eggs for Easter, they're going to sit there and say, "Well, it's symbolic for Jesus rolling the stone." But that's what that was the Christian facade that they give. It's still a pagan holiday. I just want to let you know that. But that's the symbolic meaning that they gave it for Christians. We know that Jesus says, "Do not worship as the pagans worship." Just saying.
Right. Yep. Also with the what was I gonna say? I was gonna say something. Oh, the Christmas. Oh, okay. You got Saint Nick, right? The church kept wanting to get Saint Nick involved in it. All right, which he would. It's a pagan ritual where he'd go around the community or wherever they lived, the Saint Nick guy, and he would take the babies and cut their heads off and put it in the bag, put their bodies in the bag, in a sack, and the sack would turn red from the children's blood, and they would go and get drunk and have these orgies and stuff in the fields, and he would spread the blood all over the earth, and it was to help with the harvest. Okay, so then the Catholic Church kept trying to push this on us, but they couldn't do it. They had no way to do it. So then Coca-Cola came up with Saint Nick, or the Santa Claus thing, and that's where that came from. And then once Coca-Cola did that, then the church said, "Okay, we got it. Now we can use this." But really, it's evil, and that's where the children gets their presents from the bag. But really, the bag had babies that were dead in it. It's really sick. Really sick. Has nothing to do with Jesus Christ.
Right, exactly. The whole religion was just a perversion of just for them to do perverted stuff, man. It was like the Bohemian Grove every day. It was child sacrifices, which I really think that it's very hypocritical that a lot of these people today will sit there and say, well, the Bible's it's so disgusting and yada, yada, yada. And yet you won't even fix today. We still have abortions today. We still have sodomy today. Don't come over here. We still have wars today. Don't tell me that it offends you. It doesn't offend them, not one bit whatsoever. Well, the Bible offends me.
Yeah.
You have worse today, just as bad today. It's just as bad.
Oh, and Valentine's Day, how that originated was all the single females and all the single males would come into the town hall or wherever the meeting place is, and then have a big party. All the girls write their name down and put it in a bag or envelope or something, whatever, and then the guys would reach in and pull out the name, and then they can have their way with you. And that's where you get to send the love card to the person you like. You get a Valentine's Day card. But really what it was you were, even if you weren't attracted to the guy, it didn't matter. He had you for the night. That's what Valentine's Day was. People are celebrating these holidays and they have no clue where it originates from.
Right, because they're obsessed with their holidays.
Yeah. Well, then that's our government also pushing that on us too. It's Valentine's Day. It's Halloween, and you got a lot of Christians that celebrate these holidays. They're dressing their kids up in costumes, going trick or treating. I mean, come on, and you don't know that that's the devil's holiday? What? It's fun. Go get candy from strangers. You teach your kids don't talk to strangers, but on Halloween you can go knock on the door and ask for some candy. The fuck? Crazy shit. It's crazy.
I don't know how, you stop and think about it. The dead babies turned into presents in Santa Claus's bag, and some of the some of the shit that Halloween was just as bad. I
Yeah.
mean, they used to boil people alive and all kinds of shit on that day. It was fucking crazy. It
Mhm.
was crazy. And to be honest with you, a lot of it was Christians. It's funny how they want to sit there and turn the Dark Ages as totally this is what happens whenever. Okay, the let's be real, Christians have never gotten a fair shake in society. Everybody's like the closest that we've ever did was in this country back in the days whenever, Christianity was basically the backbone of society. They used to teach it in school and whatnot. And whenever America was very, very successful was, the Industrial Revolution, where spirituality here in the United States was more seen as commonplace, much less now. It's not even really hardly, you could barely go out and pray anywhere without somebody getting offended. I don't care if you're offended. Go back overseas then if you're offended, or wherever the hell you came from. Go
Mhm.
crawl under that rock if you're offended. If I want to pray, I'll pray. And there's nothing you can do about it at all. Well, I'm offended. We need to move the, and they want to remove Christ. They want to remove the Bible. Our churches have been complicit with this.
Yep. Yep. I want to show a quick video about them, how they think of themselves as being gods. I don't know if you heard of Richard Seed. Have you ever heard of him?
I probably have if I heard it, but I'll go ahead and listen just in case.
It's, it's
I
only
see
30.
so many.
Yeah, it's a 34-second video, so this will be very fast. But that's all he needs to say what he needs to say. So here we go. His name is Richard Seed. Thinks he can become God. And this is what he has.
Yeah.
This is what he asked us. Yeah, this is what he has to say to us. Okay.
We are going to become gods. Period. If you don't like it, get off. You don't have to contribute. You don't have to participate. But if you're going to interfere with me becoming God, we'll have big trouble. And we'll have warfare. The only way you can prevent me in this 50 or is to kill me. If you kill me, I'll kill you.
I'm anticipating.
So again,
And
if
that's
you,
the mindset.
yeah, if you read right here, he's into human cloning researcher. Again, that's what I'm talking about, the transhumanism, where they get the synthetic beings and they remove the God-created soul and put in their whatever demon or whatever their computer programming, kind of like the movie where Johnny Depp was in. Remember where he was a computer? His soul went into the computer.
Right.
What's that called?
Yeah.
Transcendence or something like that. Okay, and that's what they want to do. That's their whole goal. And I just want to show it again. It's only 33 seconds. I just want everyone to please listen to what he's saying again.
We are going to become gods. Period. If you don't like it, get off. You don't have to contribute. You don't have to participate. But if you're going to interfere with me becoming God, we'll have big trouble. And we'll have warfare. The only way you can prevent me in this 50 or is to kill me. If you kill me, I'll kill you.
I'm anticipating.
There you go. That's how they think, people. That's how they think.
This is the lie from the garden. This is the lie from the garden.
Mm-hmm.
This has just been exactly. It's still. That's how powerful that lie is.
Mm-hmm.
It's over 6,000 years old. You know what I'm saying? They've been saying this shit for 6,000 years. You're gonna be like God. You're gonna be like God. And nobody's gonna stop me. I'm gonna cause all these wars, yada yada yada. That dude really seriously got it in his head that he's gonna be like God, and nothing can stop him. I'm not gonna do anything. I'm not, but I just don't think it's gonna work out for him.
Yeah. Well, they're already in the process of doing that. I mean, I can show you synthetic beings right now. They're real, and they're walking amongst us. A lot of your celebrities, you think that are your, are the original person. It's not. Like Eminem, he's dead. That's a clone. Look at his eyes. Why is his eyes brown? His eyes were blue. He had a cleft in his chin. This guy doesn't even have a cleft. The other dude, Eminem, had a piercing in his ear, and a big piercing too. So it would have been a big hole. This guy shows no piercing at all. Has ever been in his ears. Okay, I've had 2 holes in both ears for years and years and years and years, and I can go months without earrings if I wanted to. They're not closing up, and if they do close up, you're still going to see that you had a piercing. That's a synthetic being. So even his music changed. His vocals changed. You see it in his eyes. He looks like he's half dead. Where Eminem had that life and that redness in his cheeks and the blue eyes and the blondish hair. No, not this guy. This is a totally different. This is not even a human being. It's synthetic. But we can get into that maybe after we're done with the World War III Spiritual Warfare. I'd like to get into the synthetic beings and the cloning. Because that is real shit. Like Richard Seed, he is a cloning researcher. That's what he's doing. Human cloning. It said it right there. That's what they're doing. This is real shit. I'm not making this stuff up. It's crazy. They are doing it. They are doing it.
Yeah, because man still has that idea that we can become gods. And whenever you think that you can become a god, or you think you know about what it's like to be a god, then you're going to find out that the hard way. You're going to find out the hard way. You've seen what happened. Semiramis, Nimrod, and Tammuz set themselves up as gods. And you see exactly what's going on. Hell, even the gods of Poseidon would rape other gods and whatnot, like Astarte and whatnot. You even heard that. They became humanized. And everybody wants to make God in their own image, instead of not trying to realize that they are made in God's image. It's basically they submit their power and they submit their soul for what they're doing right now. Like I said, this guy right here, Richard Sneed, he's not the king of Tyre. He's the prince of Tyre. He's a puppet. Now, Richard Sneed thinks he has all the answers. Richard Sneed will go over here and sell you a bill of goods. And if you follow Richard Sneed, then you're going to go down that same path. And it always ends up with emptiness. Not true happiness. It's not true happy. You can be as rich as you want. But these people are still miserable at the end of the day. I can come over here and realize that, hey, me and Rose, we get along. Me and, some of my subs, we get along. They like me. I like them. I think they're cool. And we have a good rapport. We can talk. We can rationalize. I don't like some of the stuff that they may believe in. I may disagree with them a lot, but we can get along. I can function with them. I can see that, I can tell whenever, okay, this person's upset or something like that. I can communicate with people. Guys like this right here are empty, and then they're making the whole world empty as they go along. The more people that you follow like this, the more emptiness you get inside of you, because you're not getting real answers. You're not getting the truth. You're getting this fabricated answer that they've made up, which will, like I said, I want to also get into, the atheism and all that other stuff, where it's proven that these guys had already had the system set up to do what they were going to do.
Yep. Yeah, I think we need all this stuff needs to be covered, and I'm gonna do whatever I have to do to get this information out there, like somebody said in the chat before. We're not able to.
Yeah, and we're getting really, really close to that. I don't know if you've heard about that YouTube Red. I can't even do Hangouts on my channel anymore, which I have. I wanted to start off and promote your channel on my channel. I did share this, by the way, on Facebook and Google+. So
right on. Thank you.
I'll do a video on mine and say, check out this video, because like you, I think that this has been far too long. I've been trying to do something similar to this and just trying to find somebody to do it with. It's, with you over here and being compassionate about it and wanting to get all this information out helps me out as well, because I've been trying to do this for a long time. Same
here. I just haven't had, people see my hangouts. It's hard
Right.
to get information out when you have so many different personalities on a panel, and half of the people don't even want to hear the shit you have to say. Um,
Right. Which nothing personal, guys. I know that there's a lot
no,
of people
I
that
love you
wanted
guys.
to come in here, right, and hang out with us, but this is exactly tend to be what happened. Whenever I would see it, I'm like, man, you may be on a good roll, but then somebody else comes in and then they want to give their opinion and they don't want to hear what you have to say.
Hmm.
Me and you, we are on the same page with a lot of the stuff that we're talking about right now. And so it's easier for us to come out here and share this. Now, if y'all wanted to have a debate later on, that's fine. If y'all wanted to come in later on, but definitely this is one of the reasons. There were certain people that wanted in on this hangout from my side as well, and I had to say no. This is just us right now trying to get out the information. Now, if you want to debate it, we can go to another show and we can debate it on another show, but we want to get this information out there. So it's nothing personal. I just wanted to make sure that
Oh,
everybody.
absolutely not personal. No. Sean Lewis, the chat is saying, "What if Vince McMahon was cloned? Could be why he's so still with his ideas."
Then it would suck forever and ever. Let's just talk, let's not give WWE any bad ideas because they're probably out there right now cloning John Cena. Brilliant, Lewis.
Brilliant.
So, thanks.
But James did also bring up a good a point. Birth certificates are giving up your birthright from God. But the only thing about that is you don't approve of, when you're a child, you don't approve of their name. You don't approve. You didn't choose your parents. Well, you can approve or you can disapprove. I mean, it depends on your parents. But you didn't supposedly choose your parents. You didn't choose your name. You didn't sign that birth certificate. So if it is signing your birthrights away from God, I don't see how that would be possible on a child that didn't give its okay to any of this. But you're right to a point where everything is in capital. So when they put your name all capital, so Rose, capital R, capital O, capital S, capital E, that takes away from me as an individual, and I become a corporation. And so then the birth certificates go into the stock market, and people make a profit off your death and your life. They own your birth certificates and they trade birth certificates. So that is, to that point, I would point that out. I don't know about your birthright from God because I'm close to God, and I didn't approve of my name, and I didn't approve of my parents, and I didn't sign that birth certificate. Plus, my name is in all caps, so that's not my name.
Right. It's like that right there is just basically taking something that may be somewhat semantical and putting a different label on it. I don't think that, yeah, so you don't sign your birth certificate, so no, you don't sign away to God and whatnot. You really technically, out of ignorance, a lot of people get a tattoo. Now, tattoos are totally against the Bible, but a lot of people don't realize that. I think that whenever you do something in ignorance is totally different whenever you know it.
Right. See, I didn't know it. I got 3 tattoos, but I didn't know. Now
Right.
I know. I'd never get another one. Right.
Right. I haven't got any, and I was gonna get a tattoo, like I said.
But I didn't
But
know.
but yeah, by the time I was gonna get a tattoo, I saw the little thing of that it is against the Bible. So I was like, well, I could have did it in ignorance, but since now I know
Yeah, you
I'm
can't do it.
not gonna get a tattoo
Can't do
now.
it. Yeah, same here. I can't get no more. That's it. Yeah, which is fine with me because that shit hurt like a motherfucker. But another point from Enoch. Have you heard about this? How the demons brought certain things, or the fallen. Let's say the fallen. They showed man how to cook meat. They showed women and men how to apply makeup. They gave them the swords, how to make swords and breastplates. All this came from the fallen angels. You know about that, Prodigal?
Well, I do know that whenever you get into Freemasonry, and maybe we will do this sometime, but this video is entirely too long to actually show. But when you get into Freemasonry, they talk about how Cain was never really legitimately Adam's son.
Mm.
That basically he was a fallen angel named Raphion's son.
Mm.
And that,
I heard about that.
basically, yeah, from Mars, they claim that there's like some sort of, that they all descended from Mars, and that they came down, and basically that's why Cain, I think Cain killed Abel, and then he was banished from the garden by God altogether. This
Mm.
is Freemasonry belief. This isn't
Yes.
me.
Yeah. This is their
Let's
belief.
go ahead and get this. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Um,
true. Yeah.
basically Cain became the great, the descendants of Cain became uh, the descendants that created a lot of this stuff.
Yeah, and
So,
that's where you get the bloodlines. A lot of these bloodlines are supposedly what they claim is the Cain bloodline.
right,
There's other bloodlines, of course, but then the ones that are supposed to be at the top, closer to Lucifer, are the Cain bloodline.
right, and
Mhm.
that's where the Freemasonry, that's part of Freemasonry,
Beliefs, yeah.
their beliefs and whatnot. So,
Mhm.
I mean, it's possible. We know that they were introduced somehow to the world.
Right. Right.
We know that Cush, which is Nimrod's grandfather, was the one that really established uh, the numbering system.
Hmm.
He's the one that basically mathematics is from Cush and whatnot.
Binaries. Hmm.
Right, everything, a lot of the stuff. So a lot of this stuff was brought down from those demons. But like I said, you've got to realize at the end of the day, the way that Satan manipulated these fallen angels was because they wanted to be gods. They wanted to be worshipped. So in turn, whenever you give the power over them, then they're going to want your worship.
Right. Yep.
There's always something there to that.
Uh-huh. Yep. And and then in Freemasonry, the higher and higher up you get, people, I've talked to people, they go, well, I'm a first degree or second degree or third degree. I go, that ain't shit. You don't even know what I'm talking about then, you know? This is knowledge that I have. I've read their books. I've studied their symbolism. I've studied them. Um, I know what happens at the top. And you could be a Catholic, you could be a Christian, you could be whatever you want. I don't know, first, second, third, fourth level you want. We'll keep on going all the way up. But once you hit 33rd degree, it's Lucifer, and they lie to you throughout the whole time. So each degree they tell you something else, and they say, well, what we told you before was a lie. This is actually the truth. But because you came to this level, now we can tell you. And then you get to another level. Okay, well, what we told you, that wasn't the whole truth. This is the truth. And then you go to the next level. Okay, we might have fibbed a little bit, but that's because only people at this level can know this, and you made it, so now we can tell you, and it keeps so forth and so forth and so forth. And once you get to the third degree, and they go, okay, well, who do you choose? Your God or our God? And then if you choose your Christianity or something, well, you're not making third degree, because only you have worship of Lucifer is the whole like they showed in the first one, the capstone. And that's where you see the all-seeing eye. A lot of people, they cover their eye. The celebrities are covering their eye. They put, stuff like that. That's Lucifer. It's the capstone. So that's
Yeah,
in our modern
exactly.
day. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And it's death by 1,000 cuts. You're 100% right. It's if they were to give you the whole thing, you would reject it. But they just take a little bit at a time, and they ease you into the religion. And they've been trying to plan this, and they've been trying to do this for hundreds of years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're patient. Yeah, they're very patient. They don't care if they make it in their generation, their outcome, as long as it happens. So they'll dedicate their whole life towards the goal. Whether they see the goal manifest or unfold, doesn't matter. That's why you're born into that bloodline. You're born into it because then you will continue the same quest, and then your youngings and your generation or whatever of that, the next generation within their bloodline will continue that same quest. So they don't mind. They'll wait thousands of years as long as they get it done.
Right, and that's kind of what me and Rose really want to come out here and do. We want to expose this a little bit more. We want to go ahead and make it, like I said, let you digest this video, and then bring you more next week, which next week is going to even further along. This is why we wanted to break this up into two different parts, so it's not overwhelming to you, because we'll get into the Catholic Church, we'll get into Islam, we'll get into atheism. We can get into a lot of different fields right here, and kind of slowly unbrainwash you, because it's a lot that they've put in the society. Yeah, so many people filling your head with crap for so long that what we're trying to do is replace it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've all been there. I mean, I still have more to learn. Even though I've been doing this for over 14 years, I still have more to learn. I'm looking for stuff to learn every day. I mean, this is my passion. This is what I want to do. This is my life. And now I'm going to die getting the truth exposed and learning the truth and exposing the truth. That's what I do.
Yeah. And see, this is why we wanted to do Forced Treason, because we wanted to do something like this right here, and let you know exactly, this is how they operate. This is how they do. Any final? Do you want to go ahead and wrap this up, Rose? Do our final thoughts.
Okay. Well, final thoughts is those were amazing videos. I mean, I would suggest anyone please go sub. He's amazing. The work he's done to put all that together for us. And how many videos in total is there?
There's like 77. This guy has Stay Free, Know Your Enemy, which is what we were watching. He's doing something on Revelations right now. This guy, he knows his stuff. I'm telling you, he's a great channel to sub to. He's helped me out a lot. So I appreciate Field Project as well. I've mentioned him on several of my videos. I see you've gotten interested in it, and so hopefully you can go through them and.
Well, see, it's not nothing I don't already know, but it's always good to get
reference
that. Yeah, no, like to bring it back, because I was doing this years ago. I've learned all that stuff, so it's good to refresh it in my head, and he puts it so well together. I wouldn't mind watching it because I learned this through books. So to actually see the video, I know he knows what he's talking about. That's a fact. Yeah, he knows he does his research. He's one, smart guy, man. He's, I didn't know he had 77 videos. That's amazing. Wow.
Yeah.
Astonishing. So yeah, I'm looking forward to the next show. When do you think you want to do the next one?
Thursdays, I figure. Go ahead and keep
Every
it
Thursday?
rolling on the Thursdays.
Okay.
Keep it one day about this time. I guess, what time did we start this show?
Late. We were supposed to start at 8. I think we started at like 10:15.
Okay. Yeah, so we'll just keep them at about 10-ish. That way y'all know where to find us. You know what time slot we're going to be at. And it'll give y'all something to, go ahead and introduce some more stuff into you, to give you that perspective and how this all came about.
Mario, I just want to point this out. He's saying, I don't agree, Rose. It's not their plan that matters. Oh, wait. I don't agree, Rose. It's not their plan. The masters are not from this world. They are followers. Okay. Well, we're saying the fallen didn't come from this world, and the fallen are influencing the people who are the 1%. They're influenced by the fallen and by Lucifer himself.
Yeah, we're showing you that it's a spiritual war.
Yeah.
It's a spiritual war, Mario. This has been here sometime. Nimrod is actually considered one of those that may have been a descendant of one of the Fallens. A lot of people believe that. Yeah, but we're just telling you where the system came from, originated in Babylon. You know, you can agree, you can disagree, you can take what you want to on this right here, but that's what happened, and we're just trying to get the truth out there.
Mm-hmm. And hence the name forced treason, overthrow the government. And not just the government. This has to be reset for any of this to change. Everything has to be reset. This is not working. Anyone with the fucking half a brain cell knows that shit is fucked up. Okay? The government lies. They're not there to take care of us. They're not there. They don't care about us. Period. They do not care about us. Okay? It's about their profits. It's about us being slaves, giving them money. The day before 9/11, $2.3 trillion couldn't be accounted for. And then the Pentagon with the records, that side of the building with the records where they would have to show proof of where this money went, the supposedly plane, well, actually a bomb, exploded. So then all the records are gone. So these people are not, they don't care about us. We're just trying to, tell you that this is happening. This is real. It is a spiritual warfare, but we have these people who are implementing it on us. So the 1%. We have to remember we're the 99.9%. We have the power, not them. Okay. So again, that's my closing protocol. I'm gonna hand it off to you.
Yeah. I think that why don't we close off this video with your finisher there.
Which finisher?
You know how you go, Jesus is real.
Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah. So Jesus Christ is real. Repent. Please look into everything we're saying. Please. Just look into it. Even if you think we're full of shit, look into it, because that will lead you to the road of the truth. So thank you everybody for coming into the chat room. Want to say thanks to Mario, Luke, James, Phantom Prophet, Fiction Fighter, everybody who came in, Truth Freeze. Let me see. Who else? Sorry if I'm forgetting anybody. Oh, William. And yeah. So yeah, thank you guys. Oh, Kizzer Coetin. Sorry. Kreesin Kozinstein. I don't know your name, dude. I'm sorry. But alright. Thank you. God bless.